Happy Rare Disease Day, everyone. This is our third year of doing the 24 Hours of Rare, and we are so privileged once again to have Rare Revolution Magazine and Rare Youth Revolution with us. And I'm going to introduce Rebecca Stewart, who's the CEO. And Rebecca, thank you again for getting everything together for our very first hour of 24 Hours of Rare this year. And why don't you introduce your team?
Thanks, Jeff. And it's a real honour to be given the kickoff slot again this year. So thank you very much for inviting us back. It's a real privilege to be here and start off this amazing 24 hours. So as Jeff said, I'm Rebecca Stewart, CEO of Rare Revolution Magazine, and I would like to introduce today to you two really special team members, Joe Rumney, who is our content and editorial assistant, and Chelsea Wong, who is our youth coordinator. And today we are going to be discussing really all things youth. It's a big, important part of the programme that we run here at Rare Rev. But to kick off, I'm going to let Chelsea introduce a piece of work that she's been working on. And then we're going to come back in after this video and catch up with some questions. Chelsea.
Hi, so I'm Chelsea. I'm the youth coordinator for Rare Youth Revolution, and a talk that I would like to show you guys today is about engaging young people in healthcare. Hi everyone, my name is Chelsea and I'm the youth coordinator for Rare Youth Revolution. Today I will be speaking about engaging with young people in healthcare. Before I get started, I would just like to introduce who we are. Rare Youth Revolution is a platform that amplifies the voices of young people affected by rare diseases through article writing, social media campaigns, video content, and advocacy. So what is engaging young people in healthcare? It is involving us in our own healthcare. This involves things like telling us information relevant to our condition, such as available treatment options, and letting us take part in decision-making processes regarding our own health. It is also about communicating with young people effectively, talking to us like people, and building a relationship with us that enables trust. So why am I speaking about it today? Engaging young people in our own healthcare is important for multiple reasons. Firstly, it gets us to start caring about our own healthcare. If healthcare professionals don't engage with us successfully, then we won't engage in our own healthcare. Secondly, it sets up a relationship with us. It is important to have this relationship so we feel comfortable about talking about our own health with healthcare professionals. It provides trust. By providing trust, we will feel more comfortable in the environment surrounding us. It will allow us to be more open about how we are truly feeling about our own health and be willing to talk and discuss it with healthcare professionals. Effective engagement helps figure out what we need to know from healthcare professionals and issues important to us, such as opinions and fears about healthcare and treatment. It also allows a safe space for healthcare professionals to share their expertise with us in a comfortable environment. Communicate. How to communicate with young people effectively. To communicate with us effectively, healthcare professionals must initiate conversation with us and treat us just like anybody else. If our parents are in the room, ask us how much we want to be involved. Remember to address us as well, as at the end of the day, it is our health that is being dealt with. Ask us questions that make us feel like we are having a conversation with you, that we are part of the conversation. Not only that, but ask us how we are feeling, how our day was. If we are in education, ask what's going on, as well as asking how our symptoms are. Also ask these questions just like you would with anybody. It develops a bond which will also make us feel more open about the more serious matters at hand. Have empathy. When talking to young people, it's not as simple as having basic communication skills like talking to us. Make sure you treat us as an individual and not as a case study or experiment for research. Be empathetic to what we are going through and listen to what we have to say. Be kind. Lastly, treat us like equals. When talking to us, ensure you don't use patronizing language that demeans us as an individual. Often, as young people, we are patronized due to our age and labeled as being inexperienced just because of how old we are. Young people living with rare conditions have to grow up a lot faster in a different way due to our health, so we know a lot more than healthcare professionals sometimes think, especially with the lived experience. So ensure when you talk to us, you don't medically gaslight our symptoms or experiences and listen to us. Here are just some ways in which healthcare professionals can communicate with us better. You can tell us certain things like relevant information in My Health and any concerns you may have, or tell us about any patient engagement groups or organizations that may be useful to us. Some questions that may be useful to ask and are important to our community is to ask us the best way to communicate with us, whether we are comfortable with our current healthcare setting or how we are feeling after an appointment. Due to our whole lives being enveloped by rare disease, it is good to show empathy and check in on us after our appointment after being overloaded with information. Involve young people in healthcare planning. Every so often, ask us how much we want to get involved in our own healthcare, as every individual is different. If we bring our parents in, ensure we have the choice to be part of the discussion or ask if we would like to be. Don't always automatically assume the parents are the point of contact just because of their authority. We may just want comfort which our parents can bring into what could be a stressful environment. We also may just not be ready because we're getting used to something we will be living with for the rest of our lives. This can be very difficult, especially at the beginning, so we may not want to have as much control in our health care at one point, but after we may have more experience and know what works and what doesn't, we may have more to say, so ensure to keep asking. Strategize with young people during appointments. Strategize with us, not for us, and show us how in the long term what we are doing will help. Having a rare disease can be exhausting, so if we know why we are taking this medication or why we have certain appointments, tests, or scans, it will help us understand a little more about our condition and what helps us. Find out the best way to strategize with us by considering how we learn. You can refer to resources or videos depending on what we prefer, which can support our understanding of what is going on in our own health. Involve young people during the decision-making process. Ensure we know we are part of the discussion and get a choice in what you are telling us. There are a lot of choices we have to make for our own health, like whether we want to try new medication or treatment. Ensure we know everything there is on offer, such as the benefits and side effects, so we can make an informative decision. Ask us questions about how we feel in our own health. Previously, I spoke about how you can communicate with young people through a series of what to tell us and what to ask us. Make sure to go through some of these Ask Me questions to involve us in our own healthcare. This can be a great way for us to start conversations we may not even know to have, and will also let us think of our own questions which will further the discussion. Direct us to patient engagement groups or useful tools. Get us involved in healthcare planning by seeing what else is out there. Whilst effective healthcare is vital for us to improve our symptoms and overall health, there are other ways too. Engagement groups can be useful in helping us find a community who are affected by the same condition. Healthcare professionals may know about our condition through expertise, but engagement groups can bring a sense of comfort and reliability, making us feel isolated. Useful tools like charities with supportive resources can also be extremely beneficial. Lastly, refer to advocacy groups. For example, we amplify the voices of young people living with a rare disease through several things. It gives us a place to open up about what we are going through and spread awareness about it to others who may not know what it's like, or to people who relate to what they are going through. Ask us how we found the appointment. Ask us whether the information you provided us made sense. This time can be stressful and overwhelming for us after you've overloaded information, so make sure it all made sense to us and whether we understood everything. Ask us whether we got everything out of our appointment, whether there is anything else we would like to discuss. Appointments are not just for healthcare professionals to let us know what's going on, but also for us to ask questions and get information out of healthcare professionals. Make sure we get everything out of it. Ask us what we would like to discuss in our next appointment so we can prepare for ourselves. And sometimes anonymous feedback is better, so if we prefer to not speak in person to you about how we thought, let us know that there are other ways to do so. Engaging young people. How to engage with young people effectively. Firstly, talk to us. At appointments, healthcare professionals should not only talk to us about our healthcare, but involve us in any way we want to and can. Listen to us. When discussing healthcare, listen to us, our questions, concerns, and opinions. Healthcare professionals may be surprised sometimes in how much we actually know about our condition when often we are deemed inexperienced just because of our age. In reality, due to our real-life experience living with a rare disease, we may know more than you think, so listening to an individual experience may be extremely important, especially since every individual experiences life differently. Build a relationship on care. Whilst it is the healthcare professional's job to treat us medically as patients, it is important to also remember that at the end of the day, we are also people. Healthcare professionals should build a relationship on care, treating us like people by talking to us, have normal conversations such as asking how we are, and know more about us than just our condition, as there is more to life than what we live with. Lastly, healthcare professionals should let us be open with feelings. Living with rare diseases can be difficult as it is, so it's beneficial to consider one's mental health and how our own rare disease affects us mentally, not just physically. Signpost us to places that can help with our problems that perhaps they don't have capacity or expertise in. Let us know our options on what is available, such as therapy or psychotherapists. Reassure us there are solutions and talk us through them, whilst validating our feelings and allowing us to express them. What did some of our community say about how they think healthcare professionals should engage in healthcare? We asked on our social media platforms what they thought, and this was some of our responses. Some people said to listen, respect, and consider our needs, to not patronize us and make us feel like we are inferior, to explore various treatment options with us. There are so many things that our community would like to see in engagement, and this is just some of it. Thank you for listening. If you want to get in touch, please contact me through hello@rareyouthrevolution.com.
Congratulations, Chelsea, on putting that video presentation together. It's really a great piece of work, and it's clear that it's something that you're really passionate about. And why is this topic so important to you? And what are some of the experiences that you've had that have led you to wanting to advocate for this topic?
So thank you everyone for watching, first of all. I'd want to say that one of the reasons why I find this topic so important is I don't think I can just speak for myself, but for the entire youth rare disease community, that a lot of us have probably gone through speaking with healthcare professionals and maybe felt like we haven't been listened to, maybe because of our age, or that we feel like we have to fight to even know certain things about our health. And that's just one of the reasons why I felt like it was important for healthcare professionals to know different ways in which they could have us engage in our healthcare, because at the end of the day, it's our health that's being dealt with, and it's important for them to remember that and treat us as people when they're dealing with us as well, not just as a patient. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry. In terms of your own diagnostic journey, Chelsea, is that something that you found quite challenging? What was your approach to advocating for yourself and making sure that you could learn more about your condition?
I think one of the reasons why I started doing it is more because I learned that it's not okay, which sounds really strange because it seems like common sense that it's not. But then, because of my own experience of, constantly being dismissed or maybe like not knowing how to fight for it, it meant that until I saw other people kind of telling me, oh no, that's not okay, or this should be how you do it. And maybe the growth of social media has helped as well. It meant that it was easier for me to then realize that what's happening in my own appointments shouldn't be happening. And it meant that through my experience, it was easier for me to then use that in my own appointments and things like that. So I've had a lot of experience with doctors or healthcare professionals in general, just medically gaslighting me and dismissing my symptoms, making it feel like it's in my head, that I'm like, that it's just anxiety, things like that. And so I didn't even know about that term until a couple of years ago. And that was because of other people kind of teaching me that and making me realize that it's not just me that it happens to, it's actually most people. So like through that, it meant that it was easier for me to kind of realize that's not okay and then be able to advocate for it.
Thank you. And Jo, I think this this transition into early adulthood seems to be where the trouble kind of starts. And I suppose that's transition from pediatric into adult care. Could you tell us a bit about your experience of going from Great Ormond Street and pediatric care and what that was like into that kind of transition phase and then adult care beyond?
Mm-hmm. Well, so I was diagnosed at 14 months with the rare disease cystinosis and Fanconi syndrome. From there, I was referred to Great Ormond Street. And my experience as a child there was really, really good. They were so understanding. They understood, well, different to Chelsea's story. for me, they were quite understanding, and they talked to my parents and me on the same level. My pediatric doctor there was amazing. He knew so much about the condition, and he was always listening to us, and would, after I'd been at the appointments, he would call me whenever I had any questions or any queries like that. And it was great. That was a good few years of my life that being in the healthcare system was amazing, and I was treated so well. And then when I left to go to an adult hospital at, I think I was 17, there was no real transition period. I kind of went from Great Ormond Street into another hospital immediately, and there was no conversation between the two. It was very rushed, it felt like. And when I was transferred to the adult hospital, it was a totally different experience. And things kind of started disappearing. The care that I had previously kind of went when I transferred. So that was really distressing sometimes to see. So yeah, a very different experience.
How did you find that that experience impacted your health? So did you see any change to your health because of that sort of lack of continuity, and then this very abrupt kind of thrust into adult care in a very different service?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I was mentally affected more than physically. Most of my treatment plan had been worked out while I was at pediatrics. So all my medication, my eye drops, the plan was all worked out previously, and I was kept to that. So that was kind of worked out, even though there should have been referrals after that to see if I was still on the right tablets for my age, that kind of thing, which was missed on several occasions. But as I said, I was affected. Mental health as well was a big impact. Just because I didn't see any specialists for quite a while until actually 2 years ago. So there was about 7 years before I actually saw anyone related to my rare disease, which was a big part of my life that I needed that support. So yeah, it was definitely quite a challenging time for me, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And Chelsea, in terms of for other young people that are facing a difficult time either during transition or once they're kind of into adult care and feel like they're not being believed, or that they're not being able to get enough information about their care and their treatment options, what advice would you give to them, to the steps that they could take, having done it yourself? What are the steps that they should take to re-engage with their healthcare provider and get on a better keel so that they feel like they've got more kind of joint decision making?
Well, I think firstly to know that how you're feeling is okay. Because a lot of the time I feel like going from an appointment that maybe was very dismissive, for example, would really put down your mental health and make you feel very like you wouldn't trust your healthcare professionals as much. So first of all, knowing that how you feel is valid and it's all right to feel that way. And then I think to be honest with your healthcare professional, to tell them that it's important for you to be part of that conversation and the discussion as well. Say if you were young enough that your parents are still in the room, maybe ask whether you could have an appointment just without them, or to remind them that to talk to you as well and not just your parents. And just kind of like tell them why it's important for you to engage with them and for them to engage with you, and not just for example ask how their symptoms are doing in that appointment, to kind of ask more about them, because there might be things that have been missed otherwise. For example, there might be some people that really are going through it with their mental health, and it would mean that if they're just asking about their physical symptoms, they're not really dealing with everything else, which is also as important. So I think to be honest with your healthcare professionals and to tell them how important it is for you to be part of that process.
Do you think there's a stigma attached to that being really honest part? And maybe Jo, you can maybe feed into this conversation a little bit as well. That's something that we hear quite a bit in healthcare, is that families and individuals and young people aren't always telling the whole picture. Do you think that's stigma related? Is that something that you can understand? Chelsea, do you want to go first, and then Jo, maybe you can come in?
I think sometimes it kind of comes with trust, because if you've been dismissed multiple times, or maybe I've had appointments that as soon as they've asked me how I'm feeling and then we get through that hurdle, they're like, okay, perfect. And then I'm basically allowed to leave and they don't think about asking about anything else. And I feel like if that's how they treat me, it's hard for me to then open up about maybe other areas that I'm feeling a bit lost in, or if there was any questions that I might have, I might not feel like asking. So I feel like by having that mistrust, it kind of makes me then feel like I can't open up and tell the bigger picture. At least that's from my experience. So I feel like I have to kind of force myself to say more, or to kind of like ask them questions without them leading me on to that.
And for me, I think what people struggle to understand sometimes, especially with healthcare, is I've attended appointments in the past where they said, oh, you look great, you look really good. And I thought, we know this story with so many rare diseases that you can't always tell what someone's like just by looking at them on face value. And I think that when they say that, they kind of refrain from asking the more in-depth questions, just kind of tick off what they want to hear on the list, basically. But if you look unwell, then people will be more concerned. So I think that's generally a problem that needs to be kind of addressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very good point, Joe. I think that the invisible nature of a lot of these conditions make it very, very difficult, which is a shame in healthcare because they should realise that, but obviously it's not always coming through. Joe, in terms of your transition experience, what are the things that would have made that better? What do you think hospitals need to do to really improve this transition experience so that young people can be empowered to have all of that trust and be honest about how they're feeling, but then be treated in return in a really empathetic and helpful way?
Mm-hmm. I just think there needs to be a better way of bridging the gap between paediatrics and adult. It seems like when you leave the childcare system, it just evaporates and disappears. All the things you've worked in the past with the different specialists and everything you've built up in your repertoire of things, and then it's totally different when you transfer, and then you've got to start from scratch all over again. So I think just having someone to be there and in a role where they can just guide you from one to the other, help you meet everyone, learn the building itself, that would just help the process so much, and that would have been such a help for me as well. Yeah,
I think that's a really good point. What in terms of advocacy support, do you think for both of you really, were there any support organizations that helped you kind of do that self-advocating power? Have you found any of the roles that you've done later on in life have been helpful? What have been other useful resources that you've been able to utilize?
Well, for me, I think obviously social media has been a big help. Obviously, when I was younger, I didn't have that because it didn't really exist. So since I've been on social media and been active with what I have to say about my rare condition, I've had lots of messages and lots of different support groups come to me, and I've also joined quite a lot of different organizations, Facebook kind of support groups, that kind of thing. And the advice they've had is really, really, really beneficial, and sometimes better than the stuff I've had in hospital in the past. So yeah, it's been really, really interesting to hear everyone's stories.
Chelsea, what about you?
For me, I think it would have been helpful if my doctor at the time referred me to those groups, because those were things I kind of had to find myself, and I didn't even find them until maybe a few years ago. So it wasn't even like I went out of my own way to do that, because I didn't know that they existed until later on. So I feel like it would have been helpful if I didn't have to kind of do that myself. But I agree with Joe that social media has been really helpful in kind of not just advocating, but meeting other people and learning their stories and their conditions and how it affects them. And it really does build that sense of community by spreading awareness about different things and different people, and meeting people that understand you into that level is very beneficial. And it's a different kind of support that, say, your family could give you, even if they understand what your condition is like, they don't know what it really is like. So I think that definitely helps the engagement groups and the social media.
Well, I want to thank you both for sharing your experiences so openly today. It's been really, really lovely to hear your experiences, and hopefully some of the audience today and on demand will be able to learn and access some resources for that. We'll sort out making the video available, Jeff, as well, so that people can utilise that resource. We'll work with you to get that up online. Now we're going to sort of change tack here a little bit, because we're very excited to be collaborating with Eden and Jeff for an event coming up in September. And maybe, Jeff, do you want to maybe start by talking a bit about Rare Fair and what we're going to get up to?
Right. So thanks, Rebecca. So let's turn back the wheel a little bit of time and go back to 2018, even, before the COVID pandemic. Eden had been working on an idea that she had said, she had went to a lot of rare disease events all across the United States, and was noticing the same thing, is that in almost all of the events that she went to, a lot of the same faces were showing up, and a lot of people, the same speakers, the same vendors, the same, just from event to event. And she was working with a number of rare disease communities, and they said, we can't travel. We just can't do that. So she said, well, let's just do this virtual. We have the technology, it's up and it's running. And so we began working on a virtual platform. And in 2018, we launched a new, the Rare Fair was launched for the very first time as a 100% virtual event. And every year since then, we have ran it as a virtual event. Last year, we were going to try to do a hybrid, but COVID was still pressing down on us, and we couldn't. So this year, we are going to be doing our first hybrid event, and it is going to be in the United States. It is going to be in the Research Triangle Park area here in North Carolina. We're very excited about it. We have such a great community of pharmaceuticals and biopharma and rare disease advocates and patients, and we're very excited to have Rare Revolution Magazine join us for the portion. So the layout of the thing, it is going to be a 4-day event, and we are going to start in the middle of the week, and we're going to have days where industry are highlighted, days where nonprofit and patients are highlighted, and then we're going to finish up on a Saturday with a nonprofit workshop and something that's very exciting. Two things. We're going to have the Rare Fair Junior running, but we're also going to have the Youth Fest. And Rebecca and Chelsea and you guys were very excited about that portion of Rare Fair as well. I'm going to let you guys talk to a little bit about Youth Fest and what is going to be happening.
Thanks, Jeff. And again, this is something we are very excited about. And it was an idea that was brought to us a couple of years ago around an event for young people. And rather than it being kind of family conferences, which events tend to be for young people, this being a truly cross-condition youth event, something that really focused on the topics and the things that were important to that kind of young person age group. So Chelsea's been working along with us on some of the ideas for what we wanted to get out of the Rare Youth Festival. So Chelsea, do you want to start by giving us a kind of an overview of the things that you felt were really important that we included in this day-long event?
Yeah, so it felt important to me that the voices of young people were heard. So it meant that we're going to hopefully have a lot of speakers that are young people speak about these topics, which would relate to their experiences. So everything would be related to them and their experience. So we want it to be completely for young people, by young people, which means that everything will come from us. So, for example, we're going to have a wall that we are hoping that people will write messages on and kind of explain a little bit about their experience through that, which means that people can kind of look at that wall as it kind of transforms throughout the day and see more messages come through, which means that people can just learn by reading messages on the wall. People can also write messages to their younger self, which is a series that we have at Rare Youth Revolution, where people write to their younger self a reflective piece, maybe telling us advice that we might want to give ourselves, or kind of even telling us what's going to come ahead. We are also going to bring up the internship program as well, kind of explain what the internship program is, and we're hoping that more employers would want to get involved through that as well by seeing everything that we're doing. There's also going to be a lot of other smaller events within the space as well, but I think I'd want to keep that a bit of a surprise, so I won't say that just now.
Thanks, Chelsea. And I think one of the things that was important when we were building this was not that we've got this day-long festival that is for young people, but we also wanted to make sure that we were getting young people in front of the other stakeholders. And so as part of this conference, we're actually going to have a youth track running through the main Rare Fair conference. And as far as I'm aware, that's the first time that's been done, where youth speakers will be able to get in front of the biotechs and the CROs and the healthcare providers and the researchers to talk about the topics that are important to them. And of course, the Illuminating Rare Talent intern fair that we're hoping to bring to again engage industry in conversations around where young people with rare and chronic diseases can build real value to their companies. And this is something that at Rare Revolution we have done very, very successfully. A number of our team are impacted either personally or through a loved one with a rare disease. And, you know, we have been able to benefit from their immense talent because we've taken a flexible approach to their employment and work with them as much as we can to make sure that they can really thrive in their roles. Now, Jo, you took part in the Illuminating Rare Talent program. Can you talk to us a bit about your experience with that?
Yeah, sure. So I've been involved with Rare in the past, just with different youth projects. And then I saw you had an opening for an internship with the International Magazine Centre, a 6-week internship. So I applied and luckily I got it. And it was an amazing experience. It was very in-depth. It was working from home, but I learned so much. I was part of the Zoom meetings, so I got to meet quite a lot of people. Joined quite a lot of LinkedIn connections, so I knew quite a lot of people from there, and it covered a range of different things I was interested in, like the writing that I'm doing now with you. Yeah, it was just a really amazing experience, and Nikki, who ran the company, she's incredible, and she worked with me and recognized that I couldn't always work to a certain schedule because of my disease. But yeah, it was a great experience.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I should point out that at the time when Jo finished his internship, we were looking to recruit a content and editorial assistant, and we'd had 2 failed rounds of interviews. But because of the feedback that Nikki gave when we were asking her about how the intern program had went, she was so glowing about Jo and what his capabilities were, that was really the main reason that we were able to reach out to him to see if he would consider the role. So for us, it was a really nice success story. Now we have got a short video coming up that tells people a bit more about the internship. Again, another great piece of work from Chelsea. Tells people about the internship program and where you can get some more information. So I think before we press play, Jeff, I'd just like to thank everybody for taking their time to watch this today. You can catch it on replay when Jeff and Eden have got these things loaded up, and we look forward to speaking to anybody who's got any questions.
Introducing the Illuminating Rare Youth Talent Internship Program, in partnership with Illumina and supported by Breaking Down Barriers and Open Health. The Illuminating Rare Youth Talent Internship Program aims to provide opportunities for young people within the rare disease community to gain real, valuable work experience which they can use throughout their lives. Who is eligible? If you are aged 16 to 25 years old, live with a rare disease, and is looking for meaningful work experience, then the Illuminating Rare Youth Talent Internship Program is for you. What can we do for you? Internships. Check out our internship board at rareyouthrevolution.com/internships. Scroll through our internship board and go through our onboarding documents for more information about our program process. This includes things like tips for writing, editing, what the interview process may be like, and tips for succeeding in it. Once you have, find out more about the internships you are interested in by clicking Read More. Read all about the internship, including more about the company and what the role entails. If you like what you see, click Apply here. Fill out all of your information, including how to contact you, and upload a CV and personal statement so we know more about you and we will be in touch. If there is something in particular you are looking for that we don't have on our internship board, contact us at hello@rareyouthrevolution.com and we will try our best to find one for you. Whilst you're interning through our internship program, you can also contribute for us. Check out our website and go to all blog posts. Here you can see all our amazing contributions from various writers, spreading awareness about topics important to the youth rare disease community. To have your say, click Submit Your Voice and read through our terms and conditions. Fill out the details in our submission box. Someone will get back to you promptly about how you can get involved and have your own piece published on our online blog, which you can do whilst interning. Resources. We also have a variety of resources to help with employability. This includes tips for enhancing your LinkedIn profile, word banks and sentence substitution, tips for interview preparation, and tips for writing a CV or resume. All you have to do is click on our various resources and you can see or download them as a PDF. You can also get in touch with us at hello@rareyouthrevolution.com if you have any further questions on employability. At the end of our internship with you, we encourage you to write an article about your experience for our online blog. Here we have collected various testimonials from past experiences of doing our internship program. We hope you find our Illuminating Rare Youth Talent Internship Program useful, and if you are not sure where to start, set up a discovery call through contacting us at hello@rareyouthrevolution.com, and one of our team members will get back to you shortly.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, team. That was amazing. And we really appreciate you guys obviously kicking off 24 hours of Rare as our annual event, being the first out the door here. So it means a lot. It's very special to us.
Thank you for having us again, Jeff.
All right. Well, coming up in hour 2, we're going to hear from a couple of other groups that are also in the UK or near that area. So stay tuned and look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you all. Thanks again.